Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Colton Leahy Show, where Colton Leahy talks about Colton Leahy things, and people just watch it because it's Colton Leahy. And, like at the beginning of every video that I ever make, I have my iconic glass of alcohol. Anything that has an alcohol percentage on it is acceptable to me. Sheldon Cooper has Bazinga, Donald Trump has You're Fired. Me, I have a glass of liquor in my hands at all times. Kind of like, Julian from Trailer Park Boys. He has his glass. That would be me. If I could go into work with a glass of rum and ice cubes, yeah, I would obviously do that pretty well every single day. Or if I just wanted to go into the RBC bank to make a transaction or something, I would totally do that as well. All joking aside, I want to talk about something a little bit more serious. And I know I can be a very comical person. Some people like it, some people don't. I can also take things pretty seriously as well. Some people like that, some people don't. So I guess you can't really please everybody now, can ya? But I do try. I don't compromise to please people, but I never want to really let people down per se. I think that's part of the reason why I do the things that I do. I mean, I wouldn't be so devoted or dedicated to the truth if I wanted to let people down. In actuality, I'd rather raise people up, empower them, educate them. And if I'm wrong, if I'm misguided or mistaken, I would assume someone would do the same for me. But the people that have tried to educate me didn't really try to educate me at all. More so, they tried to reinforce their own ideals by convincing me that they are true. Such as people who believe in, like, nihilism, for example, the belief that life has no meaning or purpose. They try very hard to push that down my throat because I don't believe it. Although life has been trying to make a cynic out of me, I'll be honest with you there. Like, things seem to get shittier and shittier. No exaggeration. Excuse my language, and I wish I could be more professional for the sake of appearances. I look at a man like Dane Wigington, for example, the lead researcher at Geoengineeringwatch.org. He's been researching this issue for 15 years. So call him what you will, a man that puts 15 years of his life on hold in the pursuit of truth and clean air and clean water. Props to him. I give respect where respect is due. It's certainly due with that man. I'm very inspired by Dane Wigington. I've also spoken with his wife and with Dane on occasion. His wife is outstanding as well. They're both together on the issue, and that's something that's rare, for a couple to be committed to a cause. But I guess when your children's lives are on the line, you would do anything, and that's what this really all comes down to. Why do I want to stop geoengineering? Because if it isn't stopped, if we don't raise awareness on this issue, if we don't put time aside to make it a priority, there will not be time, period. Because if we allow geoengineering to continue as it has for the past 70 years, it's been going on since the 1940s, roughly. But it's really ramped up in the 90s, especially 1998, and then it ramped up again recently, and especially this year, 2016, we know that they've been spraying more. And for those who are unfamiliar with this subject, geoengineering, many of you have heard the mainstream media term chemtrails. This is not a scientific term. Chemtrails is a marginalized mainstream media term. It doesn't lead to scientific, credible data. The word chemtrail means absolutely nothing. The proper scientific term, as I've said again and again, and as Dane has repeated as well, it's stratospheric aerosol injection, SAI, or solar radiation management, SRM. The purpose of solar radiation management is to deflect as much of the sun's thermal radiation as possible in order to mitigate the effects of global warming and to keep land-based and ocean-based temperatures cooled. The problem with this is that it causes an exasperated overall warming. And on top of that, it shreds the ozone layer. And by shredding the ozone layer, the sun appears brighter and feels warmer. And those of you who say that you don't find that the sun is brighter or you don't feel that the sun is warmer, you are clearly mistaken. I mean, I've lived on this planet. I mean, I'm only 22 years old, but I remember being a kid and I remember blue skies. I remember what normal days looked like. I, this continuous cloud canopy, this foggy, hazy mist that we see almost every day, are all very much mentioned in all the patents and climate engineering discussions. That if you could put a solar shade, is what it's called. You can look this up. David Keith, geoengineer, wants to put a solar shade by putting 1 megaton of alumina particles in the stratosphere because of their reflective qualities, and because heavy metal nanoparticulates will float in the sky for a couple of days before they eventually fall down to the earth. And when they do fall down to the earth, it contaminates the entire web of life, all ecosystems, and us as well. That sounds completely absurd and outrageous to anybody that has not done enough research into the topic. It sounds like alarmism, it sounds like exaggeration, but it's not. We have rain tests, we have soil tests that prove emphatically that these heavy metals have been fluctuating. They go up, they spike on certain months, they drop back down, they spike again, they drop back down again. Which means something is putting these particles in the air. Now, some would argue, well, aluminum and other metals are naturally a part of the atmosphere. Since when? Aluminum is bound to other metals, and it exists naturally in the earth. Aluminum is not supposed to exist in a free-roaming environment as it does now. And as a positive correlation to this, Alzheimer's rates have gone up, cancer rates have gone up, younger people are getting cancer and leukemia and other forms of illnesses, ALS, dementia, sickness in general has risen, and it's due to the spray that's going on in the stratosphere. And some would argue, if this was actually happening, why wouldn't more people come forward? But again, look at the type of society that we're living in right now. Do you know how difficult it is for a whistleblower to come forward? Their lives are turned upside down and torn apart trying to get the truth out. You have to sacrifice everything in order to be a whistleblower in society, in order to tell the truth. It's far easier, far easier for people to turn the other way and pretend like the problem isn't there. It's so much easier to do that. But who pays the price for it? Our children pay the price for it, and future generations pay the price for it, and we pay the price for it as well, because we're breathing in this same shit as well. I just need to take a drink. I'm only 22, and I understand that I don't have the most professional exterior. However, I am completely committed to this cause, and I'll do whatever it takes to spread more awareness on this issue. I'm not a fear monger. I don't profit off of fear. I actually, if you look back at my posts 2012, 2013, I was a complicated individual, very opinionated. I'm still very opinionated, but I cared about spirituality, transcendence, ascension, becoming I was a very new agey, metaphysical kind of guy. I still kind of am. You can't just deny every part of your nature. But I definitely don't profit from fear. I've lost friendships over this issue. One friend in particular that I've really, really cared about. I've talked about him on my Facebook quite a bit. Sorry. I know I should only use Facebook for all the right reasons. I get selfish sometimes and I talk about my personal life. I'm only human, man. Like, I'm not going to ever say that what I know is 100% true. And do I know if geoengineering is absolutely happening emphatically without a doubt? Oh God, no. I have no idea if that's completely 100% true. But there seems to be a lot of evidence that points in that direction. important thing is 5 years down the road, what would people say? Wow, Colton was right the whole time. That's not what I want to hear. That's not what I do it for. But you know what I would like to hear people say, and hopefully it doesn't come to that, but if it ever did, I'd want people to say at least Colton took a stand on something. At least he stood up for what he believed in when nobody else cared, right? Nobody else gave a damn. I want to say that I did give a damn. I want to say that I tried on behalf of my sister, my younger sister, everybody else that's in my family, my younger brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles. They they're affected by this too, grandparents, mom, dad. I consider all those factors when I do the things that I do. There's a lot that I haven't done. There's a lot more I could do. In fact, I've been very lazy. There's so much more I could be doing. I haven't been putting myself out there. Yes, I do a lot of social media posting and blogging. I should be out there on the streets passing out flyers and speaking to people openly on this issue. I should be confident enough to be able to do that, not shy away, not be afraid. And I'm not really afraid. I just I have I doubt myself sometimes. I just it's hard. You're trying to stand up above apathy, and apathy weighs down like a great big anchor. But we're in waters that are flooding, and we don't need an anchor right now to pull us down while the ship's sinking. We need to rise above it, and that's what I'm trying to do. Excuse me, I have a cold. Actually, I've been getting sick a lot this year. People are like, oh, what are you going to do? Blame that on the chemtrails too there, Colton? You delusional, paranoid, you know, crazy conspiracy theorist. Why don't you wear a tinfoil hat? And actually, my friend made me a tinfoil hat, and just to humor him, I wore it for him. And it amused him. Same friend that, we're no longer friends anymore. At least it doesn't seem that way. He stopped talking to me. I don't know. Guess I was only there as convenience, right? Because I always put people first. I always give people so much and get so little. But I'm not doing this issue because I care about the entire general population, because that would be a lie. As virtuous as I try to be, I seriously don't have very much faith in the human race. I'm doing this for my family and my friends, and for my own personal sense of accomplishment, because I did not feel accomplished going through school. I did not feel accomplished at any of the jobs I've ever worked. The only thing that makes me truly feel alive is standing up for the right thing. And maybe that's like a self-righteousness complex, or there's something. But I would argue this. I would rather if someone's going to suffer from an illness, I'd rather someone suffer from the desire to be so good and to do well and to have this thing, like maybe it is borderline narcissism. Maybe I am a borderline narcissist. Who knows? I think I'm just so perfect. Or maybe I'm just a guy that is so fed up. I'm fed up with the way things are that I just want to set a better example. Why can't that be a possibility? Why do people always get torn down for trying to do good? Because everybody else is apathetic, and if they see one person trying to do good, they're like, oh shit, that means I need to try to do good, or else I'm just going to look like but if only one or two people do it, you can easily condemn them, and it's because apathy rules the nation. It seems to be the case. I did not intend for this video to be 15 minutes, so I'm going to cut it down really short. I want to stop geoengineering, not because I'm a blind fanatic, or because everything that Dane Wigington says I just blindly believe. If you listen to anything that Dane Wigington says, he says, don't believe anything I say. Research it, look it up, Google it. He always says that. And the way he does inspire me. Some people say you sound like him, because sometimes I do find myself talking, because when I respect people, I start to pick up their personality traits. And I notice his word usage and I pick up on that and I look for ways to how can I construct a better argument, you know, because I like the way he makes arguments. He says, I would challenge anyone or I would encourage anyone. Like these are all like the way he talks, it's like he genuinely is concerned for the welfare of and the future of his kids, of course. What father wouldn't? And that's another reason I respect him. He says, I don't do this as a politician. I don't do this as for any political reason or for any sense of purpose. You know, he pays for his whole show out of pocket. He gives out free DVDs and flyers. He pays for everything. Yes, there's a donate button on his website. Whoop-de-doo. Or like, seriously? People are like, wow, if Geoengineering Watch really cared about their people, they would just give all this stuff out. They do give stuff out for free. The donate button is there as an option, quote unquote option. That means that you can choose to donate or you can choose not to. So you can donate, and yes, I do donate to the website because I believe in the cause and I believe that it's being used for good. And yes, of course, I would encourage people to donate if they feel generous, but it's not a prerequisite. The information is free, the DVDs are free. He pays for it out of pocket, and he always asks people to research everything that he says and come to their own conclusions. Sometimes I'll notice that some of the things he posts seems like there's a bit of speculation involved, but if I look at the data a little bit more closely and like the pictures of the temperature maps and the satellite pictures, I'll be like, okay, yeah, those clouds definitely don't look normal. I mean, those look like radio waves. Looks like there's a radio wave frequency being signaled down through those clouds. I mean, you can't deny it. Those clouds do not look like natural formations. Anybody that's even remotely reasonable could see that. But it would also be very easy for deniers to deny it as well and say it's just natural weather phenomenon. Like, it seems to be the common trend when we don't want to accept something. Anyways, I'm rambling on at this point. But if you want to learn more about geoengineering, just visit geoengineeringwatch.org or do your own independent research into the issue. Either way, you're going to find credible data. We need more honest and courageous people to come forward because on this current path, we will end up in a very dark and scary place called Venus syndrome. What is Venus syndrome? As I've said time and time again, it is a runaway greenhouse event. It is when the heat that is captured by the planet's atmosphere stays trapped. The temperature rises, the temperature cannot cool down, and it gets hotter and hotter, faster and faster. If we get to that point, there will be, even if we did stop geoengineering, we might be too late, because at that point the planet would not be able to cool itself. And our days would be numbered if that were the case, if we let that happen. I can't, I can't imagine such a terrifying future for myself or for any child on this planet. We have an obligation as decent men and decent women. We are called upon to make our voices heard on their behalf. We absolutely need to do this. And let's assume that everything presented on geoengineeringwatch.org and every piece of information about geoengineering is false, and we don't know if it's being used, and those jet aircraft, maybe they really are just condensation trails. Fair enough. Maybe, just maybe, I'm completely wrong. It's possible. How many times do people have to be wrong before they're proven right? How many times? But for you to blindly trust an authority, to trust in a government that has systematically been poisoning us long since the beginning and has never been out for our best interests, we know that. It's not a stretch to assume that these programs are going on in the sky, and they more than likely are. And the alternative is worse, because if it is going on, which it more than likely is, we have to act as soon as possible. There isn't enough time to completely debate or nitpick every single detail. I would take being wrong any day over the alternative, because if I'm right, we don't have a lot of time left. We have to use the time wisely. We have to be quick. We have to hurry. And that's why I do what I do, because I love my family. I love my sister. Both my sisters. Love my brothers. I love this planet. I love the environment. Love the bees. You gotta love the bumblebees, right? I love everybody, everything on this planet. So yes, we have to do whatever it takes to raise awareness on this issue and to share credible data while we still have time to do so. I'm not saying don't live your life. I'm not saying don't be happy. I'm not saying don't have a sense of humor. Hey, I still have a sense of humor. You know, I'm still me. But I am saying you do need to make time for this issue because it matters. You do need to research it. It is an obligation, okay? It is it is so important. This is the biggest battle of our lives. Not enough people know about it. More information needs to be shared. I'm optimistic that if enough people are informed and are aware of this issue, we can turn the tide and we can secure a future for our children. But only if these programs are stopped. Only then can we do we have any hope of salvaging the life support systems of this planet. And I'm well over my 20-minute mark. That's really all I had to say. That's just a brief update that I need to give. Didn't end up being as brief as I hoped, but there you have it. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. There'll be more updates to come, and please do whatever is necessary to sound the alarm on this issue. And please research the subject and visit geoengineeringwatch.org for additional details. Thank you, and may peace be upon you. Truly, I mean that.